Shalom everyone, we are in Parashat VaYeshev, Genesis chapter 37 verse 1, and this parasha is raising again a very problematic, very strong, very central question, which is why do bad things happen to good people? Like who didn't ask this question? Although we raised this topic in the previous parashot, however, if you notice, sometimes the same issue is being a centerpiece of few parashot together, usually parashot of the same month. And here the story is like this. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv. I'm reading from the Torah. And Jacob settled in the land of his father, in the land of Canaan. And then it speaks, basically it moves from Jacob, the center, the spotlight, into Joseph. From today, the main hero of our long saga, the story, is Joseph. Till now, it was Jacob. But Jacob is still alive and he's still serving. He's not the main actor in the story, but he's still a major actor in the background. And the story is starting with Jacob trying to settle in the land of his father. Okay? And then we get the story of Joseph. And Joseph was, as we realize from the second verse, Ele toldot Yaakov Yosef ben 17 shana. These are the offsprings, the outcomes, the generations of Jacob. Joseph is 17 years old, which means it says in one breath, Jacob, Joseph, to show that Joseph was very, very important to Jacob. He was so important, more than the other brothers. And that is not healthy, as you remember, when it says that Isaac loved Esau better, that didn't make the story better. And here, it looks like Jacob is repeating the mistake that his father made on the superficial level. And then he says that Joseph was the beloved child. He was the prince among all the 12 brothers. That doesn't, any story about any family that starts with that doesn't end well. It started with Cain and Abel, then it went to other places, and now we had with Isaac and Ishmael, with Jacob and Esau, and now it's Joseph and the rest of the brothers. Why would the fathers of the nation, the fathers of the idea of monotheism, of justice, of love, of real true spirituality, make that same mistake all over again? And then it speaks that Joseph, he was not such a pure soul. He did not behave that well, and he made some of the brothers his enemies. If you read the verses, I don't want to go into it because we have so much to do today. And then we have that verse, number 3, verse 3, chapter 37. Ve'Yisrael ahav et Yosef mikol banav. And Israel, Jacob, loved his son Jacob more than all his sons. And then he made him his special stripe coat. You don't do that. Vayoru echav ki oto ahav aviyeh mikol echav. And when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all of them, vayisneu oto, they hated him. Lo yachlu ledabro l'shalom. They couldn't even say hello to him, or shalom. And then we're starting with Joseph's dreams. The guy, not just that he's spoiled, as it looks like, not that his father somehow discriminates him, discriminates the brothers, and he gets the best. He comes with those dreams and he tells his dreams of greatness to the brothers. And the Zohar says you learn from that. You never tell your dreams to people who don't like you. And you know what? How do you know if they like you? Joseph was sure his brothers love him. They didn't. Okay? So you tell your dream only, says the Zohar, to people. I'm not just talking about night dreams. I'm talking about also daydreaming. Plans that you make. You tell about it only to people who really love you and are smart enough to know that words have power, and the way you discuss somebody else's dream or your own dream, that's how this dream is going to be manifested, because the words of a human being are so powerful. They create reality. And how do we know? Especially nowadays, when we live in a society that is based of so many people's dreams about out of the box. The Wright brothers, they had a dream about flying in an airplane. Most of the world was mocking them. You know what? They said, it will fly, it will fly, it will fly. Today we cannot picture our lives without airplanes, without aviation and transport, either of merchandise of people, which means their words and vision was strong enough. So we right now enjoy that vision and those words. So, yes, Joseph's words were about his dream were strong enough. However, they suffered a delay, said the Zohar, because the reaction of his brothers was very cynical. They kind of doubted his dreams. They said, "Oh, are you going to be the king and we are going to bow down to you? No way. What are you talking about?" That created a delay. It's a message for us. When you have dreams, you have to be careful about who do you share your dreams with. Has to be somebody that knows the power of words. Somebody is not going to reign over your parade. Somebody that knows that words have power. And when you speak about somebody else's dream, especially to him, you need to empower that person and not to be the the ones who reign on somebody else's parade and or the ones who are trying to turn off somebody else's fire, even though you think you love that person. So this is about the dream. And then what the Zohar is saying at the end, we know the story is the brothers are going, they were shepherds. All of them, they lived of sheep. And they went from Hebron to Shechem to find a place for the sheep to graze. Vayomer Israel Yosef, we are in verse 13. And then Israel, Jacob, is telling Joseph, your brothers are with the sheep in Shechem, which was north of Hebron. Lecha v'shlachacha eleim. It's about 2 days walk, something like this. Lecha v'shlachacha eleim v'yomer lo hineni. Let me send you over to them to check out what they're doing. How are they? And Joseph is saying, Hineni. Hineni, I'm here, my Lord. I'm here for you. My father. Same word that Abraham said, Hineni, to God, going to the binding of Isaac. Vayomer lo lech na'arei et shlom achecha. See how your brothers are doing, and come and tell me about it. And he's going there, and he's lost because he comes to Shechem. He cannot find his brothers, and he finds that man that the legend is saying that was Angel Gabriel. And he asks him, the person, what are you looking for? And he says, verse 16, Vayomer et achai anochi mevakesh. I'm looking for my brothers. But the word mevakesh does not mean necessarily my looking. It's more asking for. He was looking for brotherhood. And what he said, what the answer of that man was, Nas'u mize. Rashi says, they got farther away from brotherhood. You're looking for brotherhood, you can't find it with them. They won't like you. They don't want to be with you. They don't want to be your brothers. So still he goes there because that was his father's mission that gave it to him. ויראו אותו מרחוק, and they see him coming, and the moment they saw him, they're starting to plan how to kill Joseph. And ויאמרו איש אל אחיו, verse 19, and they say one to his brother, הנה בעל החלומות על הזה בא, here's the guy with the dreams coming. ועתה לכו ונהרגהו, let's kill him. Verse 20, let's kill him and throw him into one of the wells. ואמרנו חיה רעה חלתו, we'll tell our father that he was killed by an animal. And then we'll see what will happen with his dreams. So Reuben, וישמע ראובן, ויצילו מידם, he saves Joseph from their hands. ויאמר לא נקנו נפש, let's not kill him. ויאמר עליהם, verse 22, ראובן אל תשפכו דם, השליכו אותו לבור הזה אשר במדבר. Don't kill him, let's throw him into that well, cistern. He said it says, Reuben, so till they are not angry anymore, he can pull him out from the cistern and bring him back to their father. But we know that plan didn't work. Finally, Reuben was away, and they sold him to the Midianites, and they sold him to the Egyptians in Egypt, and the story turned into the story we know about Joseph being a slave in Egypt. And finally, we go on, and the story continues with chapter 39, verse 1. ויוסף הורד מצרימה, and Joseph was taken down to Egypt. ויקנהו פוטיפר סריס פרעה, שר הטבחים, איש מצרי. So Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's advisors, bought Joseph as a slave. ויהי אדוני את יוסף ויהי איש מצליח. And God is with Joseph, and he was איש מצליח, a successful man. What does it mean? ויהי בבית אדוניו המצרי, וירא אדוניו כי אדוני איתו. Verse 3, chapter 39, and his master sees that God is with him. וכל אשר הוא עושה, אדוני מצליח בידו. Whatever he's doing, Joseph, God makes it successful. You know, what do you need for that? What you need for that greatness, because to see that what somebody is doing is successful because it's God's blessing. It's not normal. It's not usual. To be able to see that, you must be a person with special sight, with an open views. You know, a lot of people who are very successful, and especially unusually successful, you look at other people, how do they react towards very unusually successful people? And we realize that if you're a real human being with real values, with deep, true spiritual values, when you see other people's success, it gets you excited, gets you inspired, and you want to learn from them because you want to imitate them, to follow in their steps. This is the verse in the ancient Jewish writings, Kinat Sofrim Tarbe Chochma. Jealousy among authors will multiply the wisdom, which means you see other people's success and it inspires you to create more success on your own. If they made it, I can make it. This is the natural, normal way. You see somebody that he's having unusual success, it inspires you to try harder so you can reach the same place. However, we know that's not always people's reactions. People are not spiritual. There are people that belong to the religion of victims. It's always about shame and blame and therefore hatred because you cannot give what you don't have. Other people's excitement in life and other people's success in life is intimidating these people because for them it says, צרת רבים חצי נחמה. Somebody, the trouble of a multitude is half consolation. When you see that other people are also not successful in what you're doing, you're being half consoled, like I'm not the only one who's failing. But in modern Hebrew, they say, Tzarat Rabim Nechamat Tipshim. Only fools take consolation from other people's failures. You prefer to see to focus on other people's success for the purpose of imitating them, in being inspired by them, and growing according to their success. Why is that so important? Because the moment you are in a negative place, you have all kinds of logical reasons why. You're being abused by a grown-up as a child. You're born to a very unfortunate family. You went through all kinds of abuse as you grew up. There was discrimination against you in your society. You can have so many justified reasons to be upset and negative about life. That's logically right. But we're not here in this world to be right. We're not here in this world to obey logic. We're here in this world to do the impossible. We're here in this world to be creators. We're here in this world to connect to the core of our being, and our being is that the human soul is God's candle. The human soul is God's creation. God created us to shine. However, how can we shine? Only when it is dark you can shine. Because when we see the real true reality, melo kol haaretz kvodo, the whole earth is full of His glory. Ein od milvado, there's nothing but Him and His light. So if you see the real true reality, you cannot shine. You have no space to shine. And that's what brings us to the main theme of our story. Here Joseph, when he is not such in a great relationships with his brothers, and he's so blind to it, he doesn't even realize. Remember, he's 17 years old. You know, most people at 17, that's a not very smart age. It takes a while. You need some experience. You see the world from a very narrow perspective. And then he finds himself that he did not realize that his brothers hate him so much. He didn't realize that his father did not see how much they hate him. He had all the excuses in the world to be in a post-trauma, because how come his father, the big prophet of God, did not see what's coming? How come his brothers betrayed him in such a vicious way? How come reality betrayed him, and now from the most beloved child of Jacob, he is the most, he's a Hebrew slave in Egypt. He is at the bottom of the bottom in the caste system of ancient Egypt. And if we say that God sees that his master, that purchased him, his owner, sees that God is with him, and whatever he's doing, it's God's actions. It cannot be a human mind creating such miraculous success. Okay? And therefore, not just that Potiphar is not envious with Joseph, he's smart enough to make him the CEO of his whole business, that he was one of the major pillars of Egyptian economy. וכל אשר יש לו נתן בידו, whatever he owns, Potiphar gives to Joseph to handle, to run, to manage. So we understand that if Joseph did something like this, yes, logically, he was supposed to be, if it was in a normal household in a modern country, he will be with treatments of shrinks and who knows how many advisors to deal with the shock of what happened to him. But he was a slave. And he had a choice to make. And the choice is, do I focus on all the injustice that was done with me? Or do I really focus on my dream? My dream is to become a king. And if God is everywhere and God is everything, if God wants me to be a slave in order to become a king, I'll be a slave and I'll be the most ambitious, positive person as a slave. And that's the only reason, because if he was miserable and upset and hateful and resentful for all the trauma he went through, you can't tell about him that whatever he's doing, God is making it successful. It was visible that Potiphar could see that. The only way you can make it visible is that you are so unconditional happy, excited, positive, optimistic, resilient, and all the good traits, which means Joseph knew how to suppress, cut off all of those logical emotions. Yes, I was a victim to the worst thing. Your brothers hate you, sell you into slavery, which is an offense. In the Torah, if you steal a free human being and sell him as a slave, it's a death sentence. Stealing somebody's freedom is stealing his life. Does Joseph behave like this? No, he says, if this is what I'm going through, it's going to be the right thing. I'm going to be like the king. I'm going to behave the king. I'm not forgetting my vision. I'm not forgetting my dream. But that's where I am. I'll be the king of Potiphar's business. And he became the king of Potiphar's business. Then came another blow. Potiphar's wife wants him. She wants him for sexual purposes. Okay? But Joseph is like, how can I be successful on one hand and to betray the trust of my master? He refuses and he knows the consequences. She'll be so angry she wants him dead. Potiphar somehow smuggles him out of the picture and puts him in jail. Now another injustice. I work so hard. I make my master rich. I made him so rich that he has so much, he had so much luck. Instead of appreciating that, he sends me to jail and he listens to her. But he understands it. Joseph is not full of grudge, even now. He becomes the king of jail. And as the king of jail, he becomes the best friend with the two great celebrities that Pharaoh sends to jail, the wine steward and Pharaoh's baker. So we learn from Joseph so much. Joseph came to greatness thanks to what? Thanks to all the abuse that he suffered. He turned all of it, as we see it in the next parasha. When Joseph meets his brothers, and later on, it's the last parasha, and the brothers are saying, please forgive us. That's a Parashat Vayechi. And Joseph says to the brothers, look, I don't have to forgive you because you had a bad intention. God had a good one. And I stick with God's intention. If God's intention was not good, you won't be able to bring out your bad intentions. So I don't keep grudge to you, because if you didn't sell me to Egypt, we will all be dying right now of hunger in Canaan. So I'm not having any grudge, and I don't have to forgive. We learn from here how we need to behave. We learn from here so much big lessons, and of course that lesson that we ask ourselves, why do bad things happen to good people? Here we go back to the Zohar saying, here's Jacob, such a great person. He was punished by so many troubles, as we spoke about it last week in Parashat VaYeshev. Like his brother, your father, and does not know who you really are. Okay? That's enough for trauma for all your life. Your father thinks that the righteous, great person is your old brother who is a cheat and a liar and a murderer, that his hands are full with blood of his victims. And your father still, he is a prophet, but he thinks that your brother, that's a telenovela, that's a soap opera, this is like a tragedy on the first degree. And he goes with it. And then he comes with his father that has no idea who he is. That's how he thinks. From his brother who wants to kill him and will never forgive him, he runs away to his cheat, liar uncle that doesn't miss an opportunity to cheat him and to rob him. He comes out of it much better, much greater. And then his brothers again wants to kill him. And then his daughter is being raped. And then Joseph. His big love and hope is gone. The brothers say we have circumstantial evidences that Joseph was eaten by an animal. And he's into a deep mourning, Jacob, from that moment. So why do bad things happen to good people? Why does Jacob have to go through such great troubles? So the Zohar is trying to deal with that question. And the Zohar starts in the beginning of Parashat VaYeshev, about in the Zohar, VaYeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv, and Jacob settled in the land of the dwellings of his father, in the land of Canaan. Rabbi Chia patach v'amar, Rabbi Chia opens and says, Rabot raot tzadik, umikulam yatzilenu Adonai. And that is from Psalms 34. There are so many troubles to the tzaddik, so many evil will happen to the tzaddik. God will save him from all of them. And then comes the question, if this guy is a tzaddik, is a righteous person, why does he need to have troubles? God, where is the justice? He doesn't deserve it. We have to realize that it's not about being a righteous person. Tachaze, come and see. כמה מקטרגינית לברנש מיומה דקודשה ברוך הוא יאהב בי נשמתה בעלמא. דחבא דנפק ברנש לאווירה דעלמא מיד הזדמן להשתתפה בעדי יצר הרע. כמה דתמר דכתיב לפתח חטאת רובץ. וכדי נשתתף בעדי יצר הרע. How many enemies a person has the moment he is born to this world? From the moment that God gives him a soul into his nostrils. The moment the person comes out to the air of this world and he makes his first breath, immediately the evil inclination comes to join with him. כמו שלמדנו, as we learned, שכתוב, it says in Genesis, לפתח חטאת רובץ. The sin lies in the opening. Which is the opening? The moment you come out of your mother's womb, you pass the gate, and then the evil inclination becomes your partner. And it's your prime partner. your dominant partner. How do we know that? Says the Zohar, come and see, בואו ראה. שכן הוא הבהמות מיום שנולדו כולם שמרו עצמם ברוכות מאש ומכל מקומות רעים. Animals, the moment they are born, they run away from fire, they run away of harm, they want to eat poison, they stay away from damage. Okay? Animals. However, human beings, the moment a child is born, that's damage. Little children, you know, when I looked so many times, raising kids, you see other kids, and you tell yourself, how many miracles a day happen because kids are so creative in creating life-threatening, dangerous situations. It's only by daily miracles that a child survives every day of his life of childhood. Because human children, they will throw themselves into the fire without any hesitation. Any kind of danger, throwing themselves from balconies, whatever, if just being let, they have such a creativity in creating life-threatening situations. Why? That's a proof they have the evil inclination. And the evil inclination always is pushing the child towards evil. However, whoever runs the life of a child is the evil inclination. He is in charge. Whatever good they do, it's only for their ego. They want compliments, and that's how you train them. You condition them. How? When they are little kids, whenever they do something good, you have to reward them. You must reward them. That's how you educate with them. It's better to reward them than to punish them because that's more productive and more successful. So, understanding that, we have to understand what we have with us is the evil inclination that is part of our personality the moment we are born. And he accompanies us all the time as long as we live till we learn from the sages, ethics of the fathers, never trust yourself till the day you die. And the Mishnah is bringing an example, Rabbi Yochanan Kohen Gadol. Rabbi Yochanan, the high priest, he was a high priest for 80 years, which means 80 times he went into the Holy of Holies, prayed the prayer for himself, his family, his tribe, his nation, for the whole world, and came out alive. And if a high priest was not pure, really pure in the Holy of Holies, he would die on the spot. So for 80 years, he went in and came out alive. And after 80 years, he simply turned against God, against the Torah, against the truth, which means the evil inclination, we can never say, I overcame the evil inclination, it will never bother me anymore. He's always hiding at the gate. And he will creep on you any moment. Just you give him an opening, space, and he will just be there and take over. You can never say to the moment you die, I'm resistant to the evil inclination. And then the Zohar continues. That's verse 11 in Zohar Sulam. אבל צדיק ההוא שהוא ירא את ריבונו, that righteous man that really experiences only awe towards his God, towards his master. כמה רעות הוא סובל בעולם הזה, he has to go through so many evil events in his life, in this physical world, כדי שלא יאמין ולא ישתף עם יצר הרע. So, what's the purpose of all of these troubles? The troubles are there to disconnect us from the evil inclination. all of those troubles, because you say, like Jacob, such a righteous man, how come he has to go through so much trouble, so many disasters, so many calamities, so much injustice? And the answer is, that's right for Jacob, that's right for every tzaddik. HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzilo mikulam. Finally, God saves them from all of it. Zeu shekatuv, as it says in the book of Job. No, I'm sorry, that's Psalms 34. Rabot raot tzaddik umikulam yatzilenu Adonai. Many evil things happen to the righteous person, but God will save him from all of them. God, why are you giving so many troubles to the righteous person? Rabot raot l'tzaddik lo katuv. It doesn't say that the righteous person has so many troubles. The real grammatical structure is slightly different, but crucial. What it says, Rabot raot tzaddik. If you see a person with so many troubles, he must be a righteous person. Why? Because the Creator himself loves him. And because he loves him and he cares for him, he wants to save that person. And how do you save a person? In this world, in the world to come, you give him troubles. The troubles keep you awake. The troubles keep you sane. The troubles makes you fight. The troubles push you to the gain, overcoming the pain and reaching the gain. When everything is comfortable and easygoing, you don't even realize where your evil inclination is. Of course, you didn't declare war about him, and you are not going to win. How are you going to win? When we have troubles, then the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, comes to the surface. He gives us bad advices, bad emotions. He incites us against, you see, God is not, you're such a righteous person, you deserve so much, and that's what you get. Forget it. Forget about it. Why do you have to be a person of trust and belief? Why do you have to follow the laws? You see, you follow the laws and you're so miserable, and you see so many people that are so dishonest. They have no integrity, no morality, nothing, and they're making money and they're healthy and happy. Follow them. It's better to be evil. That thought passes in the brains of so many people so many times. Why? That is to prove we have an evil inclination, and he's always trying to take over. So the Zohar says, when it says Rabot raot tzaddik, many troubles for a tzaddik, it doesn't say for. It says many troubles tzaddik. And that means שזה יורש שפירושו, that the meaning is שהסובל רעות רבות הוא הצדיק. The one who suffers a lot is the tzaddik. משום שהקדוש ברוך הוא חפץ בו, because God loves him. כי הרעות שסובל מרחיקות אותו מן היצר הרע, because all those troubles he goes through, they do one thing. They take him away from the evil inclination. And that's why you see that when a person is trying to be good, and what people are saying, no good deeds will go unpunished. It's many times true. But it's not a punishment. You make the world better, you do good deeds, you'll be tested. Because if you do the good deeds in order for God to give you better business, health, whatever, you're not in the right track. In a way you are, but you remember you're not there yet. It's better that you do good with your money and your time than waste it in the casino or something like this. Okay? But still, the moment you're still waiting for a reward, who is in control? Your evil inclination, your selfishness. I'm not really caring for them or for the universe. I'm caring for my reputation, for what people think about me. I'm caring for some positive reaction, positive response. However, this is not the story. When we go through troubles, when we go through pain, those troubles take us away from uh, the most dangerous place, which is everything is great, and you fall asleep because you take it for granted. Where it says Vayishman Yeshurut Vayivat, it's in the Proverbs. In Deuteronomy. And Israel got fat, and he kicks whatever is good, whatever ideology he had. And we know when people start to feel fame, success, admiration, power corrupts. You start to think that you are invincible. You start to do things that you will never allow yourself to do, like testing the rule of God. So the troubles that a righteous person goes through are just to keep him in check. Same way that, you want to really do something as a leader, as somebody with leadership powers, you need checks and balances. It's not comfortable most of the times, but if you come with a good spirit and with love and excitement like Joseph as a slave, without complaining, without blaming other people, because of you, it's not successful. You just see it as a way to experience and manifest that godliness inside you. And if people don't see it, so they don't see it. Why do I have to feel harmed by that? They don't see it, they can't see it. It's their problem, it's not my problem. Why should I make it my problem? If they're jealous and they can't stand innovation and excitement, okay, so why should that be my problem? They need some compassion. I have the time, I don't have the time, I'm making my choice. So the evil a righteous person goes through and he has to endure, they take him away from the evil inclination, for complacency, for, I already got there. What do you mean you got there? You already completed, so what are you doing here on earth? As long as you have a body, you have a correction to make. Remember that. This is the message. But I'm Joseph, I'm Moses, I am the most righteous prophet on earth. But still, you're not perfect, because we are here not to be perfect. We're here to perfect. And how can we apply that perfection? When we have a support system. And that's why it's easier to have a study and background. Joseph had the teachings of his brother. That sustained him till years later, when the brothers come with the father and move to Egypt and they live with him. He made it by himself because he stuck to the values and the principles taught to him by his father till he was 17. So here we see how Jacob becomes more and more pure, more and more determined, more and more precise, more and more professional as life goes by, and he goes through so many challenges on the mental level, on the personal level, on the community level, and the most important, on the financial level. Everything went right to Jacob, thanks to all the calamities he had to face that kept him awake, aware, conscious, feisty, so he can never miss the opportunity. Same thing with Joseph. Till 17, he was not really alive. He just played the role of the spoiled, beloved child among all the 12 brothers. And now he turned into adulthood. When he was sold as a slave, he is now taking full responsibility. He's not complaining, he's not blaming, You know, all what he went through, as we said in our days, that is a material for a huge amount of sessions about, you know, how my brothers humiliated me when they sold me as a slave. You know how much fear I had when I was with the scorpions and the snake. You understand how did I feel rejected and betrayed when I realized that my father did not even figure out a little bit of the hatreds the brothers had towards him. That's the pillar of light. You connect to that. You can shift yourself upwards. That's an elevator. You need to have that faith. Joseph had that faith. Therefore, he was raised, elevated, and promoted in every stage of this story. In spite of all the other options, at most of the chances, you know, you come as a slave like this, you'll be dead soon. Because life were horrible, then either you become too upset and angry to live, and then you catch a cold and that will kill you. Because, you know, when people are really depressed and hopeless, they don't live long. Here, Joseph, not just he lingers, he's thriving. He's using the situation in order to become the most important person in their Egyptian economy. How? We'll see that in the next parasha. When he becomes the person that is the most powerful person, more than Pharaoh, along Egypt and the Near East. Still, it's all thanks, says the Zohar, to the troubles he went through. That what forged that person that we know today as Joseph. What we know today about Jacob, the real person, the real sage, the real prophet that changed the core of history. That is the story, that he had to go through all of these troubles in order to step up to the plate, step up higher to the plate, step up higher than that and higher than that, till he was doing that in such a great ambition and excitement. What, for Potiphar? His interest was to enrich Potiphar? No. He just wanted to be the best he can be. What was the result? Finally, without meaning that, he became the king of Egypt. Okay? But he had to go through all these troubles. And therefore, the Zohar is accepting the only way we can explain why bad things happen to good people. That all the evil he suffers from, they basically push him away from the evil inclination that he has at home, that he has within himself. We came with the evil inclination to this world. But that study, that faith that we generate by this study has the power to weaken the evil inclination. Verse 12. How many evil days and moments Jacob went through? He should stay away from his share. What does it mean? Because of that, he had more punishments. Because he stayed in the vicinity of all the empire that he was building, as Joseph already being the king of Egypt. Because otherwise, if Joseph already turned everything positive, so why does he have to still deal with the evil inclination? Not just with Potiphar's wife, but later on. וישב יעקב בארץ מגורי אביו. יוסי פתח, הצדיק עבד ואין איש שם לב. הצדיק עבד מזמן שהקדוש ברוך הוא מסתכל בעולם והעולם אינו... Okay. We'll finish with that, for that chapter, for that issue, that we go through troubles in order to realize that the only way out is awe. Awesome. Awe means yir'ah. When you have awe of God, which means you can see God any moment, because the name of the place is not awe. The name of the place is yir'ah or re'yah, sight. When you have awe, you can see things you cannot see otherwise. When you have awe, you can make decisions you cannot make otherwise. It's all interconnected. And what is awe? When a person is really getting closer and closer to God, and he feels the presence of God, says Rabbi Ashlag, awe is a result, the true one, is not fear. It's a result of nearing, feeling the balance and the oneness of the Creator. When you feel that, then it inspires you, then it forces you to make another move till you get the next level. So awe is a very important tool, direction, mean in order to reach what we really want to reach. The opposite is when a person is busy making nothing out of everything. That's not important. That's nothing. That, we can find another one. Everything easy comes, don't worry. When a person is not aware of all the impossible probabilities that happen around us, to realize that it's improvised by the above. When you live like this, when you understand like this, when you think like this, everything is possible. You are right now, every dream will come true. And therefore, we understand that on one hand, Jacob and Joseph were people of greatness and values and integrity. Yes, both of them made mistakes. Yes, both of them knew how to snap out of it in a moment of trouble. Yes, both of them created unbelievable success out of it, out of that place that their evil inclination was so great for them. They still won. So we learn from that the bigger the evil inclination, the bigger the light to be revealed. So being a person with evil inclination, that's a sign for a great challenge, but that's also a sign for great opportunities. So the whole story of Joseph is here about achieving greatness no matter how many obstacles are done to you, how many unfair treatment you get from your brother, from Potiphar's wife, and then later on in jail, and it goes on like this. All of it for one purpose. We're not here to have a nice, easy, fancy, comfortable life. We are here to reinvent ourselves. We're here to check out our reactions to all the injustice. Check out our reaction to the way the universe talks to us, because many, many times, more than what we think, it's the evil inclination talking to us, faking he is God. But it doesn't matter. If you do everything with a positive consciousness, no blame, no shame, no hate, only love, only excitement about the future that is going to be unfolded in front of you, then by the end, not in this parasha, you become the king of something. Here Joseph becomes the king of Egypt. But there's another story that goes along with that. And that story is, like a very good telenovela or soap opera. We have another story running in the background in the same time. After Judah is selling Joseph, that was his idea, to sell Joseph as a slave in order to save Joseph from Shimon and Levi that wanted him killed. Chapter 38, verse 1. Vayi ba'et hahi, vayered Yehuda me'eretz Achav. And it happened to be in that time that Yehuda went down from where his brothers were. This is very clear. He gave the advice to sell Joseph as a slave. Really, he wanted basically to save Joseph from his brothers, Shimon and Levi, that wanted to kill him. Still, he was the actual responsible for the selling of Joseph as a slave. The others agreed, but that was his idea. He gave him like that space. I didn't kill the boy. That's what he said. But he made him a slave. So he had to pay for that. And it looks like his punishment. He goes down, which means he lost his level. He's marrying that woman, the daughter of Shua, and she has 3 sons from him. And the first one is getting married with a lady named Tamar. And he is not really behaving himself, and as a punishment, he's dead. And now Judah marries Tamar to the second brother. He's dead also because of his bad behavior. Can you imagine? Jacob was punished by losing Joseph. But Joseph is still alive. He will come out later on. And Jacob is going to meet him. Judah is not going to meet his 2 lost sons. Both of them died, and he didn't meet him back, but he did meet him back. Because then the smallest child, Shelah, Judah is afraid. He's going to die also. So he does. Meanwhile, Shelah grows up. He was very young, and Tamar is not marrying. Something weird happens. Tamar realizes that she must get pregnant from Judah, and she seduces him for that. Weird story, very like an embarrassing story. But twins are coming out to the world from that meeting. Peretz and Zerach, and they were, says the Zohar, the incarnations of Er and Onan, the 2 sons of Judah. So Yehuda did meet his sons all over again. He raised them again. This time it was successful. This time they got married, had children, and they established 2 of the great houses of nobility in the tribe of Judah. Later on, from that weird story came out King David. From that lineage, the Messiah will come. So you see over here, the fact that somebody righteous, that Yehuda, the father of the tribe of Yehuda, that gave his name to the Jewish nation. People are called Jews, it's a short from Judea. Because that was the most dominant tribe. That's the source of your nation. It's the teaching for us. If you keep strongly fighting for your faith, for your wisdom, for your values, you are going to go through a lot of troubles and pain and suffering. That will keep you awake, aware, in awe. Awake, A-W. Aware, A-W. Awe, A-W. That means that you'll be on doing the thing you came to this world for. We're not here to rest. We're not here to have it nice. We're here to turn the darkness into light and the bitter into sweet. As we learn about the story of Rabbi Chia from the entrance to the Zohar. That's our purpose. So if we don't have darkness, where is the light we can turn into? If we don't have bitterness, where is the sweetness that we have to reveal? Only people that understand life treat those events as an opportunity to break through the box, to think outside the box, to get out of reality and to reinvent themselves. And by this, create darkness. So if you look at your life and you think that there's too much trouble and you don't deserve it, you're on the wrong path. You're not using your troubles, because your troubles, do they hurt your soul or do they hurt just your evil inclination? Your ego, your pride, your sense of righteousness. You know, how come I'm not such a bad guy? How come this guy is much worse than me, doesn't get those troubles I get? Use those troubles. If Joseph was not sold as a slave, says the Zohar. Well, I'm jumping to verse 102 in the Zohar Sulam. מה כתוב למעלה? ויאמר ישראל לך ושלחך אליהם. ושואל וכי יעקב השלם שאהב את יוסף מכל בניו, ויודע שכל אחיו שונאים אותו. למה שלח אותו אליהם? Joseph was a complete person, a person shalem. From the word shalom, is coming from a whole, shalem. If he was so complete and he loved Joseph so much and he knew the brothers hate him, how come he sent Joseph into the lion's den? And the answer is, he didn't have any suspicion they're going to do something like this. Why? Who controlled it? God controlled his mind. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu survived because God made that happen. Many times we have wrong thoughts, we have wrong belief systems, and it's not because we are bad. It's because we need to think like this in order to get into the challenges we need to face to become the person we're supposed to become. God made it happen in order to fulfill the decree that was decreed with Abraham 400 years. Your descendants are going to spend as slaves in a foreign country. That had to happen. However, that continues, verse 103. צריכים היו בני יעקב למשול על יוסף טרם ירד למצרים. However, there had to be a moment that the brothers rule over Joseph, control him as a slave and sell him. So when Joseph became the king of Egypt, it was after his brother already controlled him. Because if they did not do that, and we know that Egypt was a place, the center of world wisdom, of darkness and witchcraft. Everything about Egypt was about witchcraft, about dark magic, everything. Joseph ruled them, the Egyptians. He used his wisdom to rule them. But the brothers needed to rule him first. Otherwise, says the Zohar, they will never be able to outrule Egypt, overthrow their power, and get out of Egypt in the Exodus. Everything was pre-planned. It looked like great disasters. Whatever came out of it, as Joseph said, you had bad intention, God had a good one, and that's what happened. Everything was for the good. If we learn that from Joseph, we learn that God is always good, even though, that's what the Zohar is teaching us, even though it looks like God is bad to you, doesn't remember your good deeds, he's stepping on you, he's taking away your rights and your happiness, it's all for the good. You just need to step up and make that change. What is the change? Get out of the box, and when you take everything with love and excitement and do like Joseph, that's where God wants me to be. I'll do the best. No complaints, no blame, no suffering. I'm not a victim of anyone. I'm here because there's something great waiting for me in this situation, and I'm not going to miss this opportunity. When we do that, we can follow the steps of Jacob, of Joseph, of Yehuda, and become legends, and become those people who move all of humanity forwards, one step ahead, towards the days of messianic peace. That won't happen unless we welcome the troubles and the hardships. And if you're waiting the whole world to be just and beautiful and rosy to you, it's not going to work. Thank you and good luck for everybody.